Imagine a beautiful island in the big blue Mediterranean Sea. This island is called Crete, a place in Greece famous for its sunny beaches, ancient stories, and lovely little villages nestled in green hills. Lots of people go there for their holidays to swim, explore, and enjoy the warm weather. On a bright Wednesday afternoon on the 2nd of July in 2025, something very scary and unexpected happened. In the forested hills near a town called Liburan, a tiny spark grew into a huge, roaring wildfire. It wasn't just a small fire, it was a massive blaze that started to move very, very fast. The weather on that day was not helping at all. In fact, it was making things much worse. The air was very dry because there hadn't been much rain, which meant all the trees, bushes, and grass were like crunchy brown paper ready to burn. On top of that, powerful winds began to blow with incredible force. These weren't just gentle breezes, they were gale-force winds as strong as a storm at sea. These winds acted like a giant fan, pushing the fire forward and making the flames leap from tree to tree, spreading across the hillsides with frightening speed and a terrifying roar. The fire didn't just stay in the empty forests. It began to travel towards the places where people lived and where tourists were enjoying their holidays. Villages with names like Aklia and Agia Photia were suddenly in the path of the dangerous flames. Hotels along the coast, full of families and visitors soaking up the sun, were also in danger. The beautiful, peaceful holiday spot had turned into a scene of chaos and alarm. The fire was growing into a long line of flames, more than 6 kilometers wide, a truly enormous and frightening sight for everyone who saw it. People who lived on the island and the tourists visiting from all over the world were all affected by this sudden emergency. The smoke started to fill the air, making it hard to breathe and turning the blue sky a hazy, dark gray. The happy sounds of a holiday were replaced by the urgent warnings of sirens and the worried voices of people trying to figure out what to do. Everyone realized this was a very serious situation, and they would need to act quickly to make sure that everyone, from the oldest residents to the youngest visitors, could get away from the fire and find a safe place to stay. When a big fire is moving so fast, the most important thing is to get people out of its way. The leaders and emergency workers on Crete knew this, so they quickly told everyone in the fire's path that they had to leave their homes and hotels immediately. This is called an evacuation. Over 1,500 people had to pack a few important things and hurry away from the danger. They left behind their houses, their holiday apartments, and all their other belongings, not knowing if they would be there when they came back. It was a scary and sad moment for many families. The people who were evacuated needed somewhere safe to go. In the nearby town of Liburan, a big indoor sports hall was turned into a temporary shelter. It became a safe haven where people could rest, get some food and water, and be with others who were going through the same thing. But not everyone could leave by road. The fire was so widespread that it had trapped some people on small, isolated beaches along the coast. With the roads blocked by flames and smoke, they had no way to escape by land. This is when the brave people from the Coast Guard and local boat owners came to the rescue. Imagine being stuck on a beach with a huge fire behind you and the sea in front of you. It would be very frightening. But then, you see boats coming towards the shore. These boats carefully came as close as they could, and people were helped aboard one by one. They were sailed along the coast to a safer harbor, away from the smoke and the roaring flames. This boat rescue showed how people can find clever ways to help each other, even in the most difficult and dangerous of times. It was a huge relief for those who were rescued from the beaches, their faces smudged with ash, but safe at last. Sadly, the fire caused a lot of damage as it tore through the countryside. In a small village called Agia Photia, some homes were completely destroyed by the flames, and many rental properties where tourists were staying were also burnt. To make things even harder, the fire damaged the power lines, causing the electricity to go out. This meant there were no lights, no fans to cool people down, and no way to charge phones to call for help. Big roads near the fire were also closed to keep cars away from the danger, which made it very difficult for people to move around and for help to get in. Fighting a fire this big is an incredibly difficult and dangerous job. A huge team of 155 firefighters rushed to the area to battle the blaze. They brought dozens of special fire engines and were joined by crews who are experts at fighting fires in forests. These brave men and women worked day and night, getting as close as they could to the giant wall of flames, using powerful hoses to spray water onto the fire. They had to be very careful because the strong winds could change the fire's direction at any moment, putting them in great danger. The fire wasn't just on flat ground. It was burning on very steep hills and in deep valleys, which made it almost impossible for the fire engines to reach. This is when help from the sky becomes very important. Helicopters swooped in, flying through the thick, dark smoke. They collected huge buckets of water from the sea and flew back over the fire, dropping the water directly onto the hottest parts of the blaze. It's a very skilled job for the pilots, and it's one of the best ways to fight a fire in places that are hard to get to on foot or by truck. Even with all the local firefighters and helicopters, the fire was just too big and too powerful to control easily. One of the civil protection officials, a person whose job is to help keep people safe during emergencies, said the situation was very difficult. He explained that the fire was hard to contain because of the winds and the dry land. So, a call for help was sent out, and reinforcements started to arrive from other parts of Greece. More firefighters and more equipment were sent to Crete to join the battle and give the tired local crews a much-needed rest. The fire created its own terrible weather. The thick smoke billowed high into the sky, blocking out the sun and making the air very hazardous to breathe. Health officials warned everyone to be careful, as breathing in the smoke could make them very sick. The heat from the fire was intense, and you could feel it from far away. Ash, which is like a gray, dusty snow made from burnt things, started to fall from the sky, covering cars, houses, and beaches many kilometers away from the fire. Animals, both pets and wild creatures, were also scared and in danger from the smoke and the flames. The terrible fire in Crete wasn't the only big weather event happening in Europe at that time. While Crete was battling flames, many other countries were struggling with a massive heat wave. It was like a huge blanket of hot air had settled over the continent. In Paris, the capital of France, the temperature reached a sizzling 40 degrees Celsius. In Spain, it was even hotter, getting up to an incredible 46 degrees Celsius. This extreme heat made the ground very dry everywhere, increasing the risk of wildfires in many different places, not just in Greece. For the people on Crete, the effects of the fire were felt all over the island. Hospitals were put on high alert, ready to help anyone who was injured or had problems from breathing in the smoke. Several people, especially some elderly residents who found it harder to move away quickly, needed treatment because the smoky air had made it difficult for them to breathe. Everyone was worried, not just for their homes and their island, but for their friends and neighbors too. The whole community was facing this challenge together, feeling the heat, seeing the smoke, and hoping for rain. In times of disaster like this wildfire, something truly wonderful often happens. You see the very best in people. Neighbors help neighbors, strangers offer a kind word or a bottle of water, and communities pull together to support those who have lost everything. The boat owners who rescued people from the beaches, the volunteers who helped at the shelter, and the firefighters who came from far away all showed this amazing spirit of helping. It's a powerful reminder that even when things seem very dark and scary, the kindness of others can be a bright light. This story of the Crete wildfire teaches us a very important lesson. It shows us how powerful nature can be, but it also shows us how strong people can be when they work together and care for one another. When disasters happen, whether it's a fire, a flood, or a storm, the most important thing we can do is to look after each other. By offering a helping hand, sharing what we have, and showing kindness, we can get through even the most difficult of times. It is this spirit of community and support that helps to rebuild homes, heal hearts, and make everyone feel safe again.